Welcome to the Weight Loss Podcast, where we offer solutions to the obstacles you face when it comes to achieving your health and fitness goals. As a married couple who's lost a combined weight of 100 kilograms and 11 clothes sizes, our raw, real, and relatable stories will show you the path you must walk to achieve and, more importantly, maintain the results you know you can reach. Because we know it works. So get ready to share the success and show the results with your hosts, Matt and Courtney.
Welcome to the Weight Loss Podcast. I am Courtney and this is Matt.
Howdy.
Welcome if this is your first episode, and welcome back. If you are not new here, you may notice that we're in a new location than our previous studio.
Things have changed.
Things have changed, and this is where we'll be at the moment.
For the time being, we have tipped our lives upside down because that's what we like to do. But the podcast goes on. And speaking of which, the podcast is obviously it is back because
we're here.
Fred, it is back every week from here on out. We have made the executive decision together to scrap the season format. We're going every single week.
We're going back to weekly podcasts.
We miss it. It was us at our best. We believe we can deliver more useful value and help more. And it's just fun to do.
It is.
So let's just dive straight in. We have an agenda today. So as you can tell by the title of the episode, how to start trusting yourself again. Well, it might be that. It might be how to trust yourself again. I'll decide once we're done. But this episode overall is going to be about building trust within yourself, either for the first time or getting it back again, because this is a real issue with people in this field, because so commonly will you hear from those out there, and I guarantee you're one of them, where you are shit scared of starting something new because you don't trust yourself to be the sort of person that can finish what you start. Or you might be the type of person who does not trust yourself to make good decisions under stress, anxiety, emotional situations.
Yep.
And that festers inside you. How do I know this? Because I see it. I've seen it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it is made worse by shitfluencers online and hustle bros and hustle sisters that will give truly abysmal advice to people who have no trust in themselves, like, well, just be consistent. Well, if it was that easy, it would be done already.
Just have a bit of willpower.
So our mission for this episode is we're not going to make any outlandish promises and say, well, by the end of this video, you will trust yourself again. Like, no, you probably won't. But by the end of this episode, we'll have given you actionable steps that you can take to start to build this in yourself.
And recognize it, I think. I think one of the things that Matt and I were speaking about in planning for this and writing some notes was just how we felt like this isn't always recognizable. So you're not always going to recognize that you're not trusting yourself. Might feel to you as something different. So being able to recognize it, but then also have some tools in your toolkit to be able to work on it.
Yes, because I think this has been made infinitely worse by, I'm going to call it the weight loss industrial complex.
Okay.
Big term, bro.
Yeah.
Well, it's just that if you're listening to / watching us, I guarantee you've done plenty of diets and programs out there before. And they have probably served to not only make your bank account lighter, but also just cement that distrust that you have in yourself and reinforce the identity of, well, I'm the person who starts and never finishes. I'm the person who I can't go to a social event because I don't trust myself to be able to say no to people.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm around my friends or my family and they're having food that I wouldn't normally want to have, I don't trust myself to be able to say no, thank you.
Don't trust myself to go out with my friends to the pub and not overdo it.
Yeah.
Drink too much.
Yeah. So then that leads to, I'll just not go.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm going to use the word insidious. it is an insidious way of being, and I think it undermines people, and I think it also creates a dependency. I'll give you an example where you'll have someone that will sign up to a program or a diet, insert whichever one you want to insert here. They'll pay the money. They'll show up. They might get some results. They'll finish the program. They'll wrap it up. They'll go off on their own. But these are core issues such as self-trust has not been worked on and developed over time. So, of course, when situations pop up that have brought you undone before, you default back to certain behavior. Things start to go backwards. Oh, the weight's coming back on. Oh, shit, I better go and sign up for the program again. I better go and pay again. And it creates this dependency where you start to think to yourself, well, I'm the sort of person that can only get results when I'm paying or when I'm involved in something, which I personally hate.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it creates independent people. I don't think it creates confidence. It does not create self-trust.
No.
Because I was asked a question recently by one of our academy students, which is, how have you learned to trust yourself to make the best decisions? And I had to think about that because I didn't see it coming. And to be honest, I've never really thought about this until this question prompted me. And that's when I realized, thinking about it, holy fuck, that's getting censored. Holy poo-poo. I make really strong decisions no matter the circumstances now.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah, it was a great topic. It was a great question and great to think about because I, like you, Matt, I didn't really ever think about it either until you brought it to me. And I thought it was also a great question. And then you posed the question to me, is there a time you didn't trust yourself? And I had to think about that. And I thought, yeah, there was definitely times looking back on it that I didn't trust myself at all. And I think at the time, I didn't think that was trust either.
Give me some examples.
I think it was more, I would think of it as stress and worry. But realistically, when I thought about it more, when you and I were talking this out, I think it definitely was trust in myself. And I think some of the examples you already gave would have applied to me. So I didn't trust myself to go out and not overindulge. I didn't trust myself to have ice cream in the freezer and not want to eat the entire carton. There was just no way if I had my favorite ice cream in the freezer that I could have just stopped at a couple of scoops.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't trust myself to go and get takeout and just have a basic meal.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like I had to have everything. And I'm just trying to think what other examples that I thought of at the time. Definitely didn't trust myself when it came to exercise, but I think a lot of mine came around food and my relationship with food.
After I was asked this question, I went and did a deep dive because you, who is sitting with us here at the table.
Yeah, they kind of are.
Yeah. I have, let's call it hoarder-like tendencies. Hoarder-like. I've improved.
Okay.
I sold my video game collection. How much more would you like to know? Anyway, I have kept a record of every person who I or you in the past or we have interacted with, worked with, had in the gym. I PT'd them at gyms previously or gone through our academy program. I've kept every bit of information. I've kept every survey that we've sent out, every response that we've received.
Yes.
And I started looking up, okay, what are the most common obstacles and frustrations do people that we tend to connect with have? This was the second biggest one. And the second most commonly brought up was, I don't know how to trust myself in X situation or under Y circumstances. And that's what really brought to the forefront of my mind of like, hang on, this is a really big deal.
Yeah.
And that's when I also developed a sense of gratitude in myself of like, hey, I'm there now. I can trust myself to make great decisions when no one's around, when no one's watching.
Yes.
That's another big one that you'll see. Soapbox alert. The amount of PT clients, coaching clients that I've been exposed to over a long time now that feel they can't make a good decision or can't put together a consistent week unless they're recording a food diary for their trainer to review and hold their butt to the fire. Now, I'm the first person that will get up and say there is real merit in building the skill of data collection. And take it from me, reviewing food diaries is as fun as writing them, which is to say it is not.
Yes.
However, it is a skill that is priceless to develop. However, there is the other side to that, in that if you are someone who doesn't feel that you can put together a consistent 24 hours or a consistent 7 days in a row, unless you know someone is looking over your shoulder, one, you don't trust yourself. Two, how's that going to work long term?
Yes.
A related example is the amount of people I've heard say things like, I can't go to the gym unless I've got a PT there waiting for me. Yeah. Like, okay, do you plan on having a PT for you there at every session for the rest of your life? Like, how's that going to work?
Yes.
So this is indeed a big deal. So we are going to sort of share, we've already started, Courtney, sharing our experiences with this. I'm going to share a lot of what I've noticed in the coaching world. And then, most importantly of all, we are going to share how we've got to where we are personally, but I'm also going to share how I've seen people in the coaching space make improvements with this. Because if you ask me, and since it's our show, you are asking me, this is a fundamental pillar that must be developed in people for long-term success. The ability to make great decisions when no one is around, when circumstances aren't optimal, when you're going through a tough time. And I'll be upfront with this. The last few years for us have absolutely shown me I can make tremendously good, healthy, positive, productive decisions under the toughest of circumstances, such as grief.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, Courtney, looking back in hindsight. For me, I never actually thought about it when I was younger. I was off with the fairies. Like, all I thought about was playing video games and eating shit food. But now, many years later, is when I realized, hey, I have developed this skill. And it is sorely lacking in the coaching space, weight loss programs, you name it. Shit like this is missing. And I think it's doing people a disservice, because we exist in a space where the obsession is fastest weight lost in shortest time possible. And I understand the appeal, because it's great for marketing. Like, if I go and put my business owner hat on, like, I mean, it's great for sales, great for marketing. But if you're just doing work on the surface level, and you're not doing inner work, like helping someone develop a sense of self-reliance, how are you setting them up long term?
Yeah, I think that came up for me in our conversation, because a lot of the time when we were not trying to think of examples, but we were trying to put this whole concept together in our minds and try to picture what we went through, and how to help others answer this question, one of the things I kept coming back to is what's the difference between trusting yourself and habits, right? Because I felt like a lot of the examples I was bringing up were habitual things. And the thing that I kept then thinking about was, and I think the theory that I've landed on is that habits are the actions, but trusting yourself is the mentality behind the actions and the habits. So trusting yourself is the mentality that comes first. That leads then into the habits, good or bad, right? Because habits can also be good. We often speak about the bad habits, but the habit loop applies whether it's a good habit or a bad habit. The fundamentals are there. So I think for me, that's how I reframed it in my head, and now I was able to really see it clearly. And I think that, back to your point, Matt, is I think that's why it's really important that this is spoken about more often, because I think habits are spoken about a lot and it's the result of the mentality. So it's the actual actions, whereas this needs to be spoken about more often because it's the mentality behind it. And I think in reflecting on myself, especially when I was younger and trying out different diets and different things, I think that I actually believe now that not trusting yourself can be a form of self-sabotage as well, because I think looking back, it's something that probably if I had have really thought about more or spoken to somebody about more or really recognized in myself, I probably would have realized that I had no trust in myself. But I also feel like the self-sabotage component can come in for me, was that I sometimes used that as an excuse to do things. So it was sometimes for me, especially in those days, in my really peak emotional eating days, I would use any excuse to go fall back into my old habits. And I think that not trusting yourself knowingly, leaning on that, can be a form of self-sabotage as well.
Okay.
In my reflection, yeah.
Yep. So is there anything else you want to dive into with respect to fleshing this out, or do we move into let's start to solve this?
No, unless there's any other specific examples that you want to give.
There is one more thing I would like to say, and it is that I think for a lot of people, a lack of trust in themselves to make great decisions or to be the person that finishes things that they start is largely reinforced by the way the fitness industry works. I think, as I said before, things are addressed on a surface level. And I think it is primarily because it is not commercially viable to put this out there. Because, as I said before, a lot of programs will make their money by you coming back for more and being a repeat buyer. And I cannot fully express how much I effing hate that.
Yeah. Yes. I understand that.
It makes me want to rage.
Yes.
Because on a separate note, all I think about are people like this woman I spoke to last year who said she'd done Weight Watchers 12 times.
Yes.
Oh, it worked for me. I mean, you know what my response was, don't you?
Yes.
I mean, if it worked for you, why are you going back
12 times? Yes.
Like, they're cashing in on you not having the skills you need to be self-sufficient a whole bunch of times, which creates dependency. And that's unfortunately, that is the model upon which a lot of this industry is built.
Yes.
And I could not hate it anymore.
Yes.
So I'll just speak from our perspective. Like, I'm I'm certain you're as passionate about this as I am when I say there is real merit in helping people get so good and so self-sufficient that they don't need to come back again. That's not to say they might not choose to come back, because I have had, like I've had repeat clients in the past where they've come back after years.
Yeah.
And it's because they like having a sounding board. It's because they make the choice to come back, which is different to feeling, oh, I need to keep doing this to keep my results.
Yes.
There are two different things there.
Yes.
But in my opinion, tell me if you agree, I'm pretty sure you do, but here we go. A solid, sustainable approach is one that will build someone up to the point where they don't need to pay anymore. It's more a choice if they want to.
Yeah.
Agree, disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, okay. So I'm off the soapbox. I think we can move forward here, Courtney.
Yeah.
Which is where I will come at you with a pretty big question. So how do you actually start to build trust in yourself again, or for the first time? From your perspective and your experience to this point, how have you got here?
Yeah, I think in reflection of this question, I think it comes down to knowledge, which probably goes a little bit to what you just said as well in terms of the industry as a whole and how it operates. I think the more knowledge I had, the more I was able to trust myself to make good choices, whether that be in the gym or with nutrition.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I was going to say, let's get specific. Knowledge about what?
Yeah, so in the gym, it was definitely, I was able to be consistent, I felt like, when I wasn't scared to go to the gym. And when I wasn't scared to go to the gym was because I knew what I had to do.
Mm-hmm.
There was an empowerment there from me to lift weights, where previously when I hadn't done that, I was scared to do that. I was scared to enter that part of the gym altogether. I had no idea what I was doing. There was no structure to what I was doing. So once I had structure to go by, I started lifting weights. I enjoyed that part of working out. I mean, as much as I could, being someone who despises working out. But
do you still despise working out?
No, I wouldn't say despise.
I think this has changed.
I don't think I hate it, but it's still not my thing that I would choose to do if I could get away with not doing it.
I mean, it's a tool.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Yes. Yeah. But I've lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Knowledge, gym.
Sorry, thank you. Knowledge and gym. That knowledge is power when it came to that. For me, I became a lot more trusting of myself to hit the workouts that I had scheduled for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just about scheduling into my week around work, around life commitments, that sort of thing. I think when it came down to food, that was a bigger hurdle for me to trust myself. And I think I go back to my dependency on emotional eating. So it was a lot bigger of a hurdle for me to trust myself when it came to food rather than the gym.
Explain.
I think for me, I just found once I knew what I was doing in the gym, the idea of going in and getting it done, I wouldn't use the word easy, but I would say it was comfortable. Like I was comfortable with that. For me, getting over my tendency to binge eat with emotional eating was more of a challenge. And I think that's where I come back to a bit of a form of self-sabotage for me, because I would look for any excuse to still do that because it was so habitual for me. It was that comfort for me that probably even when I started to get a lot of knowledge around nutrition, around eating habits, around still eating the things that I wanted to eat, but just figuring out in the week when they were going to be strategically used, so not depriving myself, it did take me a long time to get to the point where I could control that. But I have to say, again, to me, it came from knowledge. So knowledge to me was power in this. So knowledge around not depriving myself, so not cutting all of my favorite foods out of my week. It was knowledge around when the best times were to eat. It was around eating more often to stay fuller for longer and keep my metabolism going. It was knowledge around all of those things that then I could trust myself. I could also trust myself then in going out for dinner, because if I wanted to try to stick closely to my staple foods, I knew how to order that. I knew how to order to stay around there. I knew how to order if I wanted to not stick to my staple foods and have a treat sort of meal. So I definitely think for me, the more time that I spent learning, implementing, practicing, all led me towards trusting myself.
Are you there now?
I would say I'm there now, because even when I'm not doing well, I recognize it a lot sooner than I used to. So if I'm feeling bad habits creeping back in or things like that, I'm recognizing it more. So I don't think, to me, learning how to trust yourself isn't about not making mistakes. It's not about never failing. It's not about being perfect. It's about trusting yourself to make good decisions when times are stressful, chaotic. It's about not worrying about getting it wrong. It's about not worrying about failing.
So you can do that now?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
How do I trust myself?
How do you put this into action now? Because you look at the last couple of years in our lives, mildly tough.
Yeah.
How do you implement trusting yourself now under times of stress when you've, like, full disclosure, we have had a lot of IVF experience. How do you trust yourself when you're feeling and living side effects from tests, medication, like bad news?
It's definitely hard, and I've fallen into bad habits over the past 6 years, but I've always come out the other side, and I think it's the knowledge of how I want to look and feel. So it's just keeping perspective on the way that not exercising and eating the wrong foods then affects me in terms of my mood, in terms of the way that I look. I think it's having perspective probably is the easiest way to answer that. Having perspective on the way that I want to live, the way that I want to feel, the way that I want to look, but it's also falling back on the knowledge that I know I can do it. And even if I make mistakes, that's okay. It's never going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always falling back on the knowledge that I know what to do. I can trust myself because I know what to do.
Yeah. However, my slight pushback there is plenty of people know what to do, but they don't do it. What's the difference between you knowing and then doing?
Because I want to do it. It's the perspective of knowing the way that I want to live, because I know the way that I want to feel and the way that I want to look. So it's having goals. If you don't have goals in life consistently, we've spoken about this in the past, even if you reach specific goals, you always have to create a new goal for yourself, whether that be through the way that you look, the way that you function, the way that you feel, the exercise that you're doing, like whatever it might be.
Doing a triathlon?
I'm not doing a triathlon, but you always do have to set some sort of goal. If you've got nothing to aim for, you're never going to stay on track.
I completely agree.
So you still have to have something to aim for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to come usually down to one of those things: the way that you look, the way that you function, the way that you feel.
Yep.
And you just have to find a goal within that. So you have to remind yourself of why you're doing it, why you're living like this, why you are exercising, why you're food prepping,
mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. Because old habits die hard. And it's really easy. Remember, like, trusting yourself is the mentality behind the action. So it's really easy to not trust yourself anymore because you're stressed or worried or life's chaotic. to fall into habits which are less than ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about coming back around to why you're doing it in the first place, to me. And then leaning on that education and that knowledge that you have, that you know, even if you've made mistakes, even if you've gone backwards, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And to give yourself a break and then just lean back on the knowledge that you have to build that back up.
Okay. I like it.
Did you have anything different in mind?
From my personal experience,
Yeah.
I sure do. But it actually plays off something that Courtney has said. To me, when I look back on it, the reason I have built such a level of trust in myself is because I've proven to myself that I can do it through doing. If you ask me, it's the best way to build your self-trust, is to do the thing and build an insurmountable or indisputable, more appropriately, an indisputable amount of evidence that this is who you are now. Because that's where I see self-trust not existing, is because people like us have built up enough evidence where, well, yeah, I am the person that starts and doesn't finish. I am the person who signs up and does nothing. I'm the person who can't say no at social events.
Becomes your identity.
It's your identity. It's your identity, which is built through action. So you create this resume, right? That's who I am. The best way to turn that around is to create the new resume. Well, instead, I'm going to be the person that I finish what I start. Yes, easier said than done, but it has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So you think of it like, maybe think of it like a bank account. You start to just take these small little actions that are putting little deposits into your bank account. The currency in that account is trust.
Yeah.
Right? So you might make a little promise to yourself. Today I'm going to go to the gym. And you then go and do it. Bang, deposit into the trust account.
Yeah.
Right? You start putting in multiple deposits over time. They're only small ones. $1 here, a couple of bucks there, 20 cents here. But that's also how it goes the other way. So, bad day at work. Oh, I'm going to skip the gym today. Withdrawal. You're taking money out of the trust account.
Yeah.
Right? But this is how you do it over time. You just have to do what you set out to do to prove to yourself. Because I personally think kumbaya crap like vision boards and manifesting, visualization does not hold up to, buddy, just do the effing thing.
It's a companion, but it definitely doesn't overtake actions, really.
Nothing will overtake actions, because action is how you build evidence. So through building evidence, you build self-trust, and through self-trust, you build confidence. This is how I can sit here and say to you that I can make elite decisions under the shittest of circumstances, because I've proven to myself over and over again that I can. And I had to start somewhere.
And so then how does that work when you, in the past, have gone backwards? So maybe you've got complacent, or there's been a time where you've regressed for any sort of reason.
Yep. Exactly the same thing.
But what makes you change that mentality back to doing what you need to get done?
As in how to address a slide.
Yeah.
It's the same mentality. Like, pull your finger out, do the thing.
Does that shake
and then, sorry, before we continue, and then recognize, and as you are taking the actions and taking the steps forward, as you are doing that, you can then start to think, what happened to make me slip before?
Yeah.
That's how you apply the learning lesson. I'm not a fan of, okay, I've gone backwards, I'm regaining weight, I'm not going to take action until I figure out why this has happened. Bullshit to that. I'm going to take action and then reflect on it as I'm taking the action.
Does that, though, hit yourself, your trust in yourself?
Not in the slightest.
No. So how do you have that not hit? Because I bet there's people out there that say yes, but every time I question the trust in myself every time that happens.
Because you have validated proof that you've done it.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I will look to if I'm talking to someone where, let's say, they have had a history of struggling with their own health, their own weight, whatever it might be, but in another area of their life, they have clear runs on the board of some level of success, be it for some people it might be in sport, business, you name it. And I'm like, well, hang on, there's certain traits here that you have clearly demonstrated and validated that you have. How do we collaborate and work together to translate those traits over here? Is it easier said than done? Yes, it sure is.
Yes.
But you've proven it can be done. So to me, once you've got evidence, you can fall back on that. So for me, whenever I've slid backwards, if I've regained weight, well, hang on, I've proven to myself that I can address this in pretty epic ways. Okay, cool. I'm going to tap back into that.
Yep.
And then as I'm tapping back into it, I'm also going to have in the back of my mind, what needs to happen from here for this not to occur again? So I can apply myself to make better decisions based on things that I've already proven to myself previously while learning the lesson that's there to be learned.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
It does. So you've really got to have perspective that you've done it before. So you're leaning on your experience and your trust in yourself that you've done it before.
Yes.
And that you can do it again.
Yes.
And then you're learning the lessons along the way about why it happened, why that regression happened. Yep. And so it really comes down to having a bit of mental strength and perspective in the moment where you have to just decide that, no, I am going to trust myself again because I have before.
It is a choice that you make and a decision that you come to, but that answers the question of how do you trust yourself again. If you ask me the question, how do you do it for the first time? That's where my answer is, honestly, you've got to go out, like I said before, and stack up the evidence and do the things. Do what's required. Put in the work. Start to build the reps.
Maybe my example is probably a bit better than for first-timers. That knowledge is power, and that the more that you know and the more that you do, and then the more runs you have on the board, or as you said, the more bank deposits you make.
I'm not going to say one's better than the other. I do have a different perspective on this to you.
Yeah.
To me, if you're someone who's never trusted yourself before, the best way to build the knowledge is through doing.
Yep.
Because the doing isn't just what teaches you, the doing is what makes it stick.
Maybe the doing, but then also you have to add in the layer of actually recognizing what you're doing. As in, by doing, you are trusting yourself to keep doing it.
100%. And I think learning is a critical component, but what cements the learning is the doing.
And the recognition of what's happening, which is that you are trusting yourself to keep doing this.
If you are a complete newbie who's never trusted yourself before, you got to start small.
Yeah.
So I sort of touched on it before, where it might be like, you know what? I'm going to the gym today or tomorrow. Whenever I've set myself out to do it, I'm going to make this promise to myself, no matter how small it is, and I'm going to keep it. Bang. Well done. That's your first deposit. And then you might stack the next one up. You know what? I'm going to go tomorrow.
It's actually probably better that those first promises are small.
I think they must be small.
Yes.
They must be small.
Yes. Don't try to be a hero and make this big promise because you think that the bigger the better. It's worse.
No. It's too much of a mountain to climb.
Yep.
You've got to break it down into small steps. As annoying as that is, sorry, it's the truth. Actually, I'm not sorry. It is the truth. You've got to start small. So you start with what I call micro promises.
Yep.
So I gave the example, I'm going to the gym today. I'm going to the gym tomorrow. Just do it for a day, then build it for a week. Do not underestimate how much of a confidence builder it is when you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I just had my first consistent week, either in years or ever.
Yeah.
That deserves a colossal high five as someone who used to go months without going to the gym because I talked myself out of it for months at a time.
Yeah.
You know, like you start with a day, turn it into a week. Once you've done that, give yourself a high five and then go, okay, I've just put together my first consistent week.
Yeah.
Which is a big deal. I'm now going to work to turn it into 2.
Yeah.
And you may not get it right the first time. Who cares? What you've done is you've established a baseline and a benchmark. Right. I can be consistent for a week. I'm now going to go and beat that.
I think using your analogy as well as deposits in the bank is a really good one.
Yep.
Because every time then you break a promise to yourself, that's a withdrawal.
100%.
And so you use that as a target to be building up, because you will have withdrawals because we are going to make mistakes. We're all human.
That's life.
So that's a part of it, but you want to be depositing more than you're withdrawing.
Definitely.
It's just a simple maths, at the end of the day. And I think the other reason why small promises at the beginning are really important is that what you said, you're not going to overwhelm yourself. There's no point going bigger, go big or go home, because you're just going to put yourself off. You're going to start second guessing yourself because you haven't built that trust in yourself yet. So you are going to start second guessing yourself. The other thing that is good is because then it's more embarrassing for you if you don't stick to it. Like if you can't stick to a very, very small promise to yourself, like every Sunday I'm going to go to the grocery store and make sure I've got some food to prep for work tomorrow or something like that. Like just something so simple and small. Like if you can't stick to that.
Thing is, the distrust that we can have in ourselves, it's not built through 1 or 2 big actions. It's built through a compounding effect of multiple small decisions or indecisions that are made over years. Unfortunately, it is the same in reverse. I would love to sit here and say, within 12 weeks, you'll lick this. No, you definitely won't. But it goes the other way, where you will get the compounding effects of starting to put small, frequent deposits into the trust account.
Yeah.
It builds over time. And that's when I get asked a question like, how do you trust yourself to make good decisions? I then look back on it now in 2026 and I see a giant mountain that's being climbed. But it was all this giant, huge collection of small
little layers,
steps along the way that when you look at the totality, you see this.
Yeah.
But it's actually this all, and if you're not watching and listening, it's small steps.
Yeah.
It's a large ladder with a gazillion rungs that
with
you must take one at a time.
Increments, yeah.
You take one at a time. So I think, and it's a note I actually put down here that I think is worth bringing up here, Courtney, that we're both correct with this.
Yeah.
And it's because both frames are actually true, because the track record is the doing, but the identity is what you develop while doing it.
Yes.
So both of our perspectives here kind of reinforce the other.
Yeah.
Because the doing creates the identity and the identity sustains the doing.
Yeah.
So
but the
good job by
knowledge
us.
helps with the doing in the first place.
Well, you develop knowledge as part of your identity.
Correct.
So who am I? When do I make my best decisions? When do I make my worst decisions? In your examples, Courtney, knowledge of like, I can now do the thing of going to the gym because, I know what the hell I'm doing now. I have a structure I can follow.
Yes.
I don't walk in there and have to think on the spot, shit, what am I doing today?
Yeah.
Because that's hard as hell.
So yeah, you're right. Both complement each other.
Yeah. And I think when we talk about building this for the first time, or for the first time in a long time, I do want to just take this opportunity to say that if you know you are a person that struggles with this historically, and someone says to you, especially if you're paying them, and they say to you phrases like, well, just be consistent. I would like you to punch them in the face for me and for yourself.
Don't do that.
No, definitely do that. Definitely do that.
Don't do that.
Give them the biggest bitch slap possible.
Don't do that.
Because that is truly abysmal advice that misses the actual problem, because consistency requires trust.
Mm.
One will come before the other here. And I live this myself. I can be ultra consistent because I trust myself to do it.
Yeah.
And I trust myself to do it because I built it through those small micro actions over a long period of time. And when I've gone backwards, I've rebuilt it through those micro actions that again, as I said before, they compound and they stack up.
I think you really look at this like in terms of like a sport as well, you know, as another really good comparison. It's like when sporting teams are in the finals or in the playoffs, you know, and they lean on the actions that they use to get there.
You build a process.
They're building up.
You build a process.
So they can trust themselves, they can trust their team because they've built up on these experiences along the way.
Yep. And just as maybe not necessarily an aside, but it's related here, what we're going through here can be taken as being pretty heavy and pretty full on, because like the broken promises, they do stack up over a period of time. And we can both agree that willpower is not the fix. Yeah?
Yeah.
So what we've done is we have built let's call it a little tool for the worst of these moments. Think of it like a short little 5-minute circuit breaker. 5-minute circuit breaker for when you think that I've already wrecked the week, I'll start again next week.
Yes.
Which is a really good way to build self-distrust.
Yes.
So we've got that guide, if you want to get a hold of it, to start to build this trust in yourself. Find us on Instagram, which is the Weight Loss Podcast.
Yes.
Very original name. And just DM us the word WRECKED, WRECKED, and we will send you that short guide. Very, very handy if you are the sort of person that is in the middle of this right now. Like, hey, I've got to learn how to build this trust. Get a hold of that guide. It'll help you in the moment. So DM us the word WRECKED over on Instagram and we'll send it right over. Moving on here, Courtney.
Yes.
I would like to add just almost like a reinforcement from me that how's the dog going there?
Dog's living his best life.
We've got a little pug here on the floor with us, making himself known.
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning as we get through this, Courtney, that there's no app, no coach, no mindset, even no podcast is going to help you build a level of self-trust that you need more than having the courage to do the work required.
Yeah. Yeah.
With this, because that is, I'm open to you, obviously please disagree and jump in, but to me it's the single best way to build the evidence needed is just to follow through with something, no matter how small it is, and just see what that gives back to you.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised at how rewarding it can feel internally to know that, you know what, I kept this promise to myself.
Yeah.
Because it has to start somewhere, and that is a wonderful place to start.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So moving forward here, we might be just about done.
Okay.
Any other thoughts or questions or observations you want to add?
I don't think so. I think we laid it out pretty well, and I think that we gave pretty good tips to start working on it.
Well, I think they're great because that's all we know is our own experience. So I think we will land the plane.
Yeah.
On this one. So if...
Land the plane.
Land the plane.
That's funny.
Thank you. I would say if you found this episode helpful, and we really hope that you have.
Yeah.
And even if you haven't, tell us why. Like
Yeah. If we need to expand on something, we will.
We are big
We're going to be here every week.
We ain't going nowhere. So we are big on feedback.
Yep.
So if you did find this helpful and want to go a little bit deeper, the next step from here is we have a pretty comprehensive, or I did it myself, a pretty comprehensive walkthrough, either here on YouTube, if you're here on YouTube with us, or over on YouTube, if you're somewhere else, that goes a little bit more in depth into the 4 most common mistakes that keep people stuck in cycles exactly like this.
Mm-hmm.
So goes even deeper again into the mechanics of getting out of it. The link to the video is in the show notes or the description.
Yes.
Watch it when you've got a moment to yourself. That is the next natural step from here. So, Courtney,
I think that's it for us.
we're out of here.
Yes.
I did write down, I'm gonna close it here with a wonderful cliche
Nice.
that I wrote out for us.
You do love one of these, so yes, go for it.
I'm big on cliches and metaphors and analogies.
Yes.
You don't need to trust yourself to start. You need to start to trust yourself.
I like it. It's actually one of your better ones.
Boom.
So perfect.
We're out of here. Thank you for joining us. Courtney, we're back.
Yes.
Give it to me. See you next week.
Bye.
Are you ready to share your success? Head over to our website for full access to our show notes, resources based on today's topic, and links to our Facebook group so you can share your story with our hosts and many others out there who are looking to achieve and maintain their health and fitness goals. You can find all that and more exclusively at theweightlosspodcast.com.